Good evening, children. So, children, we are going to continue our chapter, The Age of Industrialization. Now, in the previous class, we have covered the top. Firstly, let's talk about the outline of the chapter. Before the Industrial Revolution, manual labor and steam power, industrialization in the colonies, coming up of factories in India, the peculiarities of industrial growth, and the next point is market for goods. Industrialization, we have read. Basic thing, I am just doing the revision part. Production of goods with the help of machines, factories. The first industrialized nation was Britain. Features: handmade goods to machine-made goods in factories, cottage to factory, large-scale production started in England in later parts of 18th century. In course of time, it affected all systems of production. Then you can see the two pictures. Now, before the Industrial Revolution, what was? It was known as proto-industrialization. Production in 17th century. Production in 17th century, artisans worked for merchants to produce goods. Artisans took raw materials from merchants for production. Their cottage functioned as a factor. Association of producers, trained craft people maintained control over production, restricted entry of new traders. This period saw the coming of the factories or the industrialization. In short, you can see on your screen the parts would be displayed, the reasons for the industrialization. Nearly 7-8 causes were there, proto-industrialization. The first one, the demand for goods was increasing with the acquisition of colonies. More and more colonies were increasing, and that's why the demand was increasing. In towns, production could not be expanded as there were crafts and guilds which were powerful. These guilds trained their own craftsmen, controlled production, regulated prices, and restricted entry of new people into the trade. Some guilds had monopoly right to produce and trade in their own goods. The poor peasants and artisans began to work for merchants in the countryside eagerly. They needed extra funds and employment for all members of the household. They could work for the merchants and look after their small fields. This proto-industrialization system was controlled by merchants, and the goods were prepared by vast number of workers working within their family farms. Each merchant employed 20 to 25 workers. They gave financial aid to peasants and artisans. Now the next chart is of flow chart, process of making and selling cloth. Point-wise the points are given. First point is merchant clothier based in town, then buys wool from a wool stapler, carried it to the spinner spun yarn taken to weavers, fullers, and then to dyers. Finishing done in London. Export merchants sold the cloth in the international market. Means this system was very lengthy. Earlier, before industrialization, this system was very lengthy during that time. Okay, but with the passage of time, the changes started occurring. Now, before the industrialization, children, remember this, before the industrial revolution, 90% of people in Europe lived in the countryside. Now, then the companies, the coming up of the factories, early factories in England came up by the 1730s. By the 1730s, early factories came up. First symbol of new era cotton mill. Many factories sprang up in England. A series of inventions took place in the form of carding, twisting, spinning and rolling. By this picture, the images are given in your book. By that you can conclude that how industry was organized. Now, the other point is the pace of industrialization. The pace of industrialization means that different sectors were there, different things were there. Cotton and iron and steel industries were the most dynamic industries. New industries could not displace traditional industries. Technological changes occurred slowly. Steam engine invented by James Watt had no buyers for years. New technologies were slow to be accepted. You can see the famous factory towns during the Industrial Revolution. Cotton gin was the machine. This machine, cotton gin, was a very simple machine which brushed out seeds from the cotton fibers quickly. This was a slow and cumbersome process earlier. Now today children, I am going to start with manual labor and steam power, or you can say hand labor and steam power. Manual labor and steam power. Now, during the Industrial Revolution, some people simply moved from villages to towns in the hope of finding work, while others moved from one country to another in search of a better life. देखो उस समय हो क्या रहा था, जब इंडस्ट्रियल रेवोल्यूशन हुआ कुछ लोग गांवों से निकल के टाउन्स की तरफ मूव करने लगे, किस उम्मीद से कि वहां पे उन्हें काम मिलेगा, और जो दूसरे लोग थे वो एक देश से दूसरे देश जा रहे थे, किस लिए, फॉर व्हाट होप, इन द सर्च ऑफ न्यू और डिफरेंट काइंड ऑफ बेटर वर्क दे वर मूविंग. In Victorian Britain, there was no shortage of human labor. As you know, when there is plenty of labor, wages are low. सीधा इस चीज को समझना कि जब आपके पास लेबर बहुत ज़्यादा है, आपके पास लेबर पावर बहुत ज़्यादा है, तो वेजेस आपके बढ़ेंगे या घटेंगे. So simple thing, as you know, where there is plenty of labor, wages are low. So there was no problem of labor shortage or high wage costs. Many industrialists did not want to introduce machines that got rid of human labor and required large capital investment. देखो उस समय प्रॉब्लम क्या थी, जब आपके पास लेबर कम होते हैं तब तो इंडस्ट्रीज नई मशीन्स आप लगाना बेहतर है, बट व्हेन यू आर हैविंग बल्क ऑफ लेबर्स, जब आपके पास सस्ते रेट में लेबर्स उपलब्ध हैं इन अ ह्यूज क्वांटिटी, देन व्हाई टू इन्वेस्ट, क्योंकि जब आप फैक्ट्री सेटअप करते हैं, नई मशीन्स लगाते हैं तो उसमें खर्चा ज़्यादा आता है. उसके मुकाबले जो लेबर्स थे उनका रेट बहुत कम था. आप जितने चाहो उतने लेबर्स को आप बढ़ा सकते हो, उतने लोगों को काम पे रख सकते हो. So that was the condition. Okay, so that's why many industrialists did not wanted to introduce machines that got rid of human labor and required large capital investment. In some industries, the demands for work was seasonal. वो दूसरी दिक्कत. और कुछ इंडस्ट्रीज ऐसी होती हैं जो सीजनल होती है, जैसे वुलन क्लॉथ्स हैं आपके, ये सीजनल है. So in some industries, like demand for work was seasonal. Gas works and breweries were busy through the cold months. Bookbinders and printers too needed extra work before December. Ships were required and produced is produced up during the winter months. Such industries where production fluctuated with the season. Industrialists preferred hand labor employing workers for the season. But in some of the areas, but some variety of products could not be produced only with human skill, not mechanical technology. For example, 500 varieties of hammers and 45 kinds of axes were produced by hand in England. In Victorian Britain, the upper classes, especially the aristocrats and the bourgeoisie, preferred things produced by hands, and handmade products were better finished, individually produced and carefully designed. On the other hand, machine-made goods were for export to different colonies. देखो अब इसका फ़ायदा क्या था मशीन मेड गुड्स का कि ये दूसरे देशों में इसकी सप्लाई आसानी से हो सकती थी, दूसरे देशों को इसको भेजा जा रहा था. Now on the other side, what was the life of the workers? Now my next point is what was the life of the workers? अब जो उस समय वर्कर्स थे उनकी क्या हालत थी? Let's talk about that. Now, let's move to the point of life of the workers. As soon as news traveled to the countryside about the possibilities of new jobs, hundreds flocked to the cities. और जैसे शहरों में खबर पहुंची, गांव क्षेत्रों में खबर पहुंची कि कंट्री साइड में या शहरों में आवश्यकता है, there is possibilities of new jobs, हजारों की तादाद में लोग शहर की तरफ चल दिए. The availability of jobs depended upon existing network of friendship. देखो पहले क्या था, फ्रेंडशिप पे, नेटवर्क ऑफ फ्रेंडशिप पे डिपेंड करता था. मान लो किसी जगह पे, किसी सिटी में फैक्ट्री खुल रही है और वहाँ पे वर्कर्स की ज़रूरत है, आप वहाँ पे काम करते हैं, आप अपने गांव गए, आपने अपने फ्रेंड्स को, रिलेटिव्स को, किसी को भी बताया और वो लोग वहाँ पे आ गए. The availability of jobs depended upon existing networks of friendship and kin relations. Many job seekers had to wait for weeks. और कई ऐसे लोग थे जो काम की तलाश में हफ्तों तक बैठे रहते थे. Some even had to spend nights under bridges and shelters. In many industries, seasonality of work meant that workers had to remain without work for prolonged periods. और देखो जो सीजनल वर्क होता है, सीजनल मतलब एक मौसम में होगा अगले में नहीं होगा, तो जो सीजनल वर्कर्स थे दे वर हैविंग अ लॉट ऑफ प्रॉब्लम. इसका मतलब क्या था कि जैसे आपने छाता बनाने का काम है, छाता बनाने की इंडस्ट्री है, फैक्ट्री है, उसमें आपने काम किया, 3 महीने काम मिला, बाकी साल आप बेकार, अब फिर से उम्मीद में है, अगेन यू आर इन सर्च ऑफ योर जॉब. Now the other point is, in many industries, seasonality of work meant that workers had to remain without work for prolonged period. अच्छा, some returned to the countryside, others looked for odd jobs which were difficult to find. The next point is, in the early 19th century, wages increased. In the early 19th century, wages increased, but it had little to do with the welfare of the workers. For example, during the Napoleonic War, the real value of what the workers earned fell significantly because the same wages could now buy fewer things. अब देखो फर्क क्या पड़ रहा था कि अब जो सैलरीज होती थी, जो वेजेस थी, जो सैलरीज थी, वो घटती जा रही थी. Also, the number of days of work determined the average daily income of the workers till the mid 19th century. Now, that was the condition. Also, the number of days of work determined the average daily income of the workers. Till the mid 19th century, 10% of the urban population were extremely poor. During the 1830s, the proportion of unemployed fluctuated between 35% and 75% in different regions. The fear of unemployment, सबसे बड़ा खतरा, the fear of unemployment made workers hostile to the introduction of new technology. The invention of the spinning jenny led to conflict in the textile industry. Women who survived on hand spinning began to attack the new machines. Now, one more point I would like to tell you something about a spinning jenny. A machine invented by James Hargreaves in 1764 speeded up the spinning process, reduced labor demand. और देखो छोटी सी चीज़ है, all the people know कि जो काम फैक्ट्री, जो मशीन्स हमारा काम 5 मिनट में कर सकती हैं, वो मैनुअल जब हाथ से किया जाता है तो उसमें ज़्यादा समय लगता है. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, यू कैन सी योर ATMs जो होते हैं आजकल देखा होगा आपने, यू कैन डिपॉजिट द मनी, यू कैन विड्रॉ द मनी, you can get your passbook printed there. You can make the entries in your passbook also. Just think, इतने से काम के लिए लोग कहाँ जाते हैं? इतने से काम के लिए लोग बैंकों में जाते हैं, लाइन लगाते हैं. लेकिन जब ये सारी सुविधाएं हैं, दिस ड्यूटी इज फॉर 24/7, 24 घंटे कभी भी जी आपका एंट्री हो जाएगी. सो नाउ दिस वन इज अ बेटर प्रोसेस. लेकिन इससे एक नुकसान हुआ है. अब जो लोग पहले रोजगार करते थे, द पीपल हु वर गेटिंग एम्प्लॉयमेंट इन बैंक्स, अब धीरे धीरे जो एम्प्लॉयमेंट है वो घटता जा रहा है. गवर्नमेंट एम्प्लॉयमेंट घटता जा रहा है ड्यू टू दिस इंट्रोडक्शन ऑफ ATMs. में जस्ट आई एम कोटिंग एन एग्जाम्पल. पहले एक बैंक में भीड़ रहती थी, क्लर्क्स ज़्यादा रहते थे, अब वो चीज़ें घट गई हैं. नाउ लेट्स टॉक टू द अदर पॉइंट. Women and children in the Industrial Revolution. Now, what was this? Women of the working classes would usually be expected to go out to work, often in the mills or mines. Women also faced the additional burden of demand for children. The industrial age led to a rapid increase in birth rates, which had an impact on the physical strength of the mothers. Many of the jobs were dirty and dangerous, and wages were very low. कुछ ऐसी नौकरियां थी जिनमें बहुत गंदी जगह पे थी, बहुत खतरनाक थी, और उसमें जो सैलरी मिलती थी, उसमें जो तनख्वाह मिलती थी, वो भी बहुत कम थी. So children were often employed to do the work. तो इन सब कामों में बच्चों को, children were given the employment. Children were cheaply hired. देखो फायदे क्या थे? बच्चों को बहुत कम रेट पे लोग रख लेते थे. Children were cheaply hired and were not big enough to argue or complain. और बच्चे छोटे थे, ना वो बहस कर सकते हैं, ना आर्ग्यू कर सकते हैं, ना या कहीं पे कंप्लेन कर सकते हैं. They were small enough to fit between tight-fitting machinery that adults could not get between. अब इसमें फायदा क्या था? वो बहुत छोटे थे. Between tight-fitting machinery that adults could not get between, जिसमें adults नहीं घुस पा रहे थे, these children can easily enter. Children soon ended up working in all types. Children soon ended up working in all types of industries. There was no restriction on the age of workers nor on the number of hours that they could work. अब देखो उस समय परेशानियां क्या थी? किस एज का इंसान काम कर रहा है उस पर कोई रोक नहीं, कितने घंटे काम करना है उसके कोई नियम नहीं. This led to children as young age as 8 or 9 being required to work 12 or more hours a day. अब इसका फर्क क्या पड़ रहा था? Children of 8 years or 9 years or 10 years, समझो छोटे बच्चे 8 और 9 years के, they were working for 12 hours a day. Just think, 8-9 साल का बच्चा मतलब तीसरी चौथी क्लास का बच्चा, a child of 3rd or 4th class was working for 12 hours and the drastic conditions. Now the next point is inventions and inventors that fueled the Industrial Revolution. Now the point is inventions and inventors that fueled the Industrial Revolution. The growing demand for cheap cotton cloth transformed the spinning and weaving industry. The spinning jenny was invented by James Hargreaves in 1764. Remember the statement? Spinning jenny was invented by James Hargreaves in 1764 and initially could spin 8 threads at once. These machines were small enough to fit into cottages and rapidly increased production. By turning one wheel, a worker could set in motion a number of spindles and several threads could spin at the same time. Richard Arkwright patented the water frame in 1769. The water frame was a large wheel that was turned by running water. जैसे पानी की तेज लहर आ रही है, जो वाटर फ्रेम होता था उस पर गिरता था और ये मशीन ऑटोमेटिकली मूव करने लगती थी. This invention led to the building of a number of factories and is regarded as being the catalyst of the Industrial Revolution. The machine of water frame, जो ये काम हुआ था, this is considered as the catalyst of Industrial Revolution. Next slide. James Watt steam engine led to a large number of further developments. The steam engine is best associated with the invention of trains. Steam engine का फायदा क्या हुआ? Invention of trains में ये helpful रही. But also was used to power machinery in factories. And on the other side, it was also used in the factories to power lifts in mines and for many other purposes. Transport changed very quickly. अब देखो इन सब चीज़ों से जेम्स बॉन्ड की स्टीम इंजन बनी, इन सब चीज़ों से क्या हुआ? ट्रांसपोर्टेशन में चेंज आने लगा. Transport changed very quickly during the period of 1700 to 1900 as a result of an increased need for better methods of moving goods. अब देखो फायदा क्या था? अब जब इंडस्ट्रीज बढ़ रही थी, प्रोडक्शन बढ़ता जा रहा था, स्पिनिंग जेनी या ये जितनी भी चीज़ें थी, इन सब जो प्रोडक्शन था वो बहुत तेज़ी से बढ़ रहा था. और जब प्रोडक्शन बढ़ रहा है तो उसको सप्लाई भी चाहिए, और सप्लाई करने के लिए व्हाट वी नीड ट्रांसपोर्टेशन. सो ट्रांसपोर्ट चेंज वेरी क्विकली ड्यूरिंग द पीरियड ऑफ 1700 to 1900 as a result of an increased need for better methods of moving goods. नई टेक्नोलॉजी आ गई, लार्ज स्केल इन्वेस्टमेंट आया कंट्रीज इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर में. द चेंजेस केम इन सेवरल वेज. और जो चेंजेस आ रहे थे ये कई तरीकों से आ रहे थे. सबसे पहले भी एग्जांपल लेके बात करते हैं. सबसे पहले रोड्स वर इम्प्रूव्ड, सड़कों में सुधार किया गया. देन कैनल्स वर बिल्ट एंड फाइनली रेलवेज. उसके बाद कैनल्स, नई नई कैनाल बनाई गई, फिर रेलवे को डेवलप किया गया. 3 चीज़ें हुई, रोड्स का डेवलपमेंट हुआ, कैनल्स बनाई गई, फिर रेलवेज में डेवलपमेंट किया गया. ईच चेंज हैड एन इम्पैक्ट अपॉन लाइफ इन द कंट्री. ईच शॉर्टेंड ट्रैवल टाइम्स. अब देखो जितनी तेजी से चीज़ें बढ़ रही थी, अब उससे क्या हुआ था? जो टाइम ड्यूरेशन था वो घटता जा रहा था. ईच शॉर्टेंड ट्रैवल टाइम्स over long distance and each enabled industrialists to seek new markets in previously inaccessible areas of the country. देखो ट्रांसपोर्टेशन से जो सबसे बड़ा फ़ायदा था वो ये था कि पहले नई जगह नहीं इंडस्ट्रियलिस्ट को मिल पा रही थी जहाँ पे अपना वो सामान बेच पाए. अब ट्रेनों के आने से ट्रांसपोर्टेशन के इम्प्रोवाइजेशन से नाउ दे वर इन सर्च ऑफ न्यू मार्केट्स जो कि पहले पॉसिबल नहीं हो पाता था. This enabled more raw materials and goods to be shipped to and from factories, providing further impetus to the industrial age. देखो इस टाइप के सारे चेंजेस होते जा रहे थे. Now children, just tell me the answer of one question. What do you mean by word patent? What is the meaning of patent? Send me the answer fast. I have typed the question. Priya, Kushagra, Pratyush, Saurabh Shukla, Satyendra Avasthi, Janvi, Ashi Patel, Pushpendra, Misty. Just tell me the meaning of the word patent. P-A-T-E-N-T. What is the meaning of this word? I am waiting for you to respond. फटाफट बताओ मुझे आंसर इसका. Okay, nobody is knowing the meaning of the word patent. Now I should tell you. I am waiting for your answer. Yes, one child has sent the answer. Good, Anirudh Dwivedi. A legal document that makes the inventor reserve their creation for themselves. Very correct. Pratyush Shukla. Patent gives the inventor exclusive right to prevent the manufacture of his invention without his permission. Yes, correct answer. I have given the answer in simple language. The answer is patent means the official legal right to make or sell an invention for a particular number of years. Now my second word is, what is the meaning of a catalyst? Define catalyst. Define the word catalyst. What is the meaning of that? Okay, nobody has told me the meaning of the word catalyst. I am sending. The word catalyst means an event an event or person that causes great change. And very correct answer by Pratyush Shukla. The answer is a person or thing that causes change. Okay, now good. Now the third one is aristocrat. What is the meaning of the word aristocrat? The word aristocrat means a person of high social order or social rank. Now, children, I have done 3-4 topics. So just now I would like to recapitulate whatever topics we have taught today, what we have studied. The first point is, now let's move to the recapitulation points. Industrial revolution brought about new changes in the life of people. Millions of people migrated from villages to towns in search of work. In Victorian Britain, there was no shortage of labor or high wages costs. Some industries had seasonal work like that of gas works and breweries. Availability of jobs depended upon friendship and kin relations. Period of 1830s saw the proportion of unemployed fluctuating between 35% and 75%. Invention of spinning jenny led to conflict in textile industry. New inventions such as spinning jenny, water frame, steam engine and so on propelled to the Industrial Revolution. Okay, one child has asked me the question, sir, for how many years the patent lasts? It depends upon the deal, for how many years you have made. It depends upon your deal with any company, with any association, that for how many years you have done this. For example, अभी India, all of you would be watching cricket. IPL का इससे पहले जो आपने लोगोज देखे हो उसको वीवो कर रहा था, उनका 3 साल का टाई अप था, लेकिन दैट पेटेंट हैज़ बीन चेंज्ड ऑफ, उसको बदल दिया गया है. उनको अगर ये हटाते भी हैं तो फॉर 3 years दे हैव टू पे, कंपनी इनको पैसा देगी. सो दैट इज द पॉइंट. इट डिपेंड्स फ्रॉम कंपनी टू कंपनी एंड फ्रॉम एरिया टू एरिया. आपकी डील कितने ईयर्स के लिए साइन होती है, दैट इज द मेन थिंग. No, it depends upon Okay, children. Now the questions are there. My first question is visible on your screen. Just see the first question. Guilds were associations of industrialization, exporters, traders, producers. Think and then give the answer. Don't be in a hurry that you are giving the answer and the answer is wrong. Take your time and give the correct answer. Okay, other people also send your answers. Priya, then other people, Kushagr Rai, send your answers. Satyendra Avasthi, Saurabh Shukla, Shlok, Janvi, Ashi, Misty, and Pushpendra. Good Shlok, Priya, Pratyush. Where are the other people? Okay, children. The correct answer for this question is option D, that is producers. Correct answer is option D, producers. Now, let's move to the next question. And the next question is, see the second question. Which of the following best defines a jobber? Which of the following best defines a jobber? The question would be visible. Option A, employed by industrialists to get new recruits, old trusted worker, person of authority and power, controlled lives of workers. Think and then answer the questions. Don't be in a haste to give the answer. Good, Priya. Where are the other people? Send your answer. Anirudh, Shlok, send your answer fast. Okay, the correct answer for this question is 2A. 2A is the correct answer. Employed by industrialists to get new recruits. Question number 2, the correct option is A1, that is employed by industrialists to get new recruits. Now let's move to the third question. The third question is, first country to undergo industrial revolution is. 4 options are there. It would be visible on your screen fast. Japan, Britain, Germany, France. The third question is there. All of you participate. Try to give the answer fast. Okay, children. The correct answer, nobody has sent except Shlok Khare. Nobody has sent this answer. So the correct answer for this question is Britain. The right answer is Britain. Okay. The correct option, Britain. Now, let's move to the fourth question for today. 18th century, India witnessed the decline of which port town? 18th century India witnessed the decline of which port town? Option A, Surat. Option B, Bombay. Option C, Calcutta. And option D, Madras. Yes, children, send your answer fast. Priya, Shlok, Anirudh, Pratyush. Send your answer fast, children. Satyendra Avasthi, be good. Okay, the correct answer for this question is Surat. The correct answer is Surat. So now let's move to the last question for today. The last question for today is, the paid servants of the East India Company was Seth, Mamlatdar, Gomastha and Lambardar. Out of 4 options, you have to select one. The options are Seth, then option B, Mamlatdar, option C, Gomastha, and option D, Lambardar. Okay, children, the question is, the paid servant of the East India Company was Seth, Mamlatdar, Gomastha and Lambardar. The correct answer for this question is Gomastha. The correct answer was given by Pratyush Shukla. So option C is the correct answer. So children, that's all for today. The remaining part we will be doing in the next class.